Hello, everybody, and welcome to the March edition of CalCo Community Chats. I'm Jamie Jo, your host tonight. I'm with the Calhoun County Community Foundation, and we are so excited that this month we have three special guests. So we have Carla Peacock, who is the Calhoun County Property Appraiser, Clay Riddle, who is the Chief Deputy Appraiser, and we also have Miss Cissy Barfield, who is our new Calhoun County Clerk of Court. So we're going to kick things off with Miss Carla Peacock and Mr. Clay Riddle. How are you guys?
Hey, how are you, Jamie?
Good. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming on tonight and chatting with us. So how are things going over in the property appraiser's office?
We are very busy. This just ended the property tax exemption sign up. But if anybody missed the deadline of March 1st, please give us a call because we can probably help you get signed up. I know it's very hard for people to get into the courthouse because we are only open from 8 to 4. So we don't want anybody to miss out on signing up for anything that they are qualified to receive.
So before we dive in head first into we want to talk about some property exemptions and property taxes, different things like that. Tell us, what is the role, for those that may not know, what is the role of the property appraiser in the local government?
The property appraiser is responsible for locating and valuing all the property in the county, both real and personal, for tax purposes. This is where it's very crucial that the schools and the county and the municipalities, this is where they get their funding. We also administer exemptions. We maintain a parcel map for parcel boundaries, just for reference. There's a lot of good information on our website, but it is not a survey. A lot of people come in thinking that that boundary is set in stone, and it's just for reference. So that's our main role, is just to find the property, value it, so the county, schools, and municipalities can get their funding.
And so just to clarify for some folks too, that I've heard this before, you actually don't take, people pay their taxes in the tax collector's office, correct? You assess.
Right. We don't levy or collect taxes. The county, school board, and municipalities, they levy the tax rate. They set that, and the tax collector collects the taxes. All we do is value and administer exemptions.
Well, I know a lot of people want to know about those exemptions, so let's jump into that. So let's see, we've got a few graphics here. I know this is something that comes up often. So tell us about the different exemptions, or let's see, let me find it here. I know we have a senior exemption. Let's talk about this one real quick.
Okay, so the senior exemption, you qualify for this if you are 65 and older on January 1st in the year you qualify. The income limit it changes every year. We are notified in January. So for 2025, if your adjusted household income is $37,694 or less, you would qualify for this. And basically, it reduces you only pay school taxes. You don't pay county taxes. So it's a very good exemption. It's really helpful. And if anyone thinks that they may qualify, please come in and ask.
All right, let's see. And then there's this one as well, the widow or widower exemption.
This changed in 2023. The exemption was only $500 off the assessed value until 23, and they increased it to $5,000, which is substantial. So any widow or widower that has not remarried would qualify for this, and it is not tied to a homestead exemption. So if it's just vacant land, they would also qualify for this exemption.
All right. And then I'm going to put this graphic up here too, because I know that says there's other property tax exemptions as well, in addition to the homestead and these others. So is there any other exemptions that you kind of want to breeze over? Or Clay, if you have any thoughts on some you want to share?
Clay, you want to tell them about some of the other exemptions?
So we have some of our veterans exemptions. That's a pretty popular one that we have in Calhoun County. There's one that is $5,000 off of your assessed value. There's also one that is total and permanently disabled service-connected veteran, and those, they don't pay any taxes. So that's a pretty big one that we have. So the veteran ones are pretty big for Calhoun County. There's also the blind exemption. That's also $5,000. And there are a handful of other ones as well.
And you guys usually, I know one thing that you do that a lot of, I think it's great that you guys do this. You've been doing it for several years now, is your community outreach program. I want to touch on that because we're talking about the exemptions. A lot of these things people in the community just may not be aware of, how they can save money, how they can, get these exemptions. I know I own property in Calhoun County and I own property in another state as well. And it's hard to keep up with all the different things that you may be eligible for. So tell us about your community outreach program and what you do around the county to educate people on this.
So we haven't really kicked off all of it this year. And I know the deadline has passed, but we still continue to do community outreach. But we schedule with the different libraries. Sometimes we've done it at the fire department. We try to go into every area of the county and have at least one community outreach. So we're set up there. We can answer questions, or we can actually help people fill out applications right there on the spot. It's real important because it is something that not everyone knows about. Not everyone has Facebook. Not everyone has internet to get on, look at the website. I've put ads in the newspaper. Not everybody reads the news. So it's really hard to reach everyone. And I think that's really important for us to get out into the community. And we've always found, several people, each of these outreaches, that we help sign up for one of the additional exemptions, whether it be senior, veterans, widow, widower, just because they didn't know.
Can you apply for multiple exemptions?
Yes. Most of the exemptions are tied to the homestead, and you have to qualify for homestead to be eligible for some of the others. The widow, widower is not one of those. You do not have to have homestead, and the 5,000 veterans exemption is not tied to homestead.
Is there an age limit on the veterans exemption, or can that be for any service member?
Well, there's one that is 65 and older, combat-related, service-connected disability. And that is a percentage. Like if they're rated 60%, they get 60% off their assessed value. The total and permanent, there is no age. It's if you're totally and permanently disabled, service-connected veteran, you don't pay property taxes. And then the other one is the 5,000 off the assessed value, and that is no age limit either.
All right, let's see. We have a question too, real quick. I'm going to jump on this because it's about exemptions. Amanda says, do you have anything for first-time home buyers? Is there any sort of exemption for a first-time home buyer or a younger adult maybe that?
Unfortunately not. That might be something to bring to the legislature's attention. But as of right now, no.
Nothing for first time. All right. So I also want to move right along here. We're going to talk about some property assessment frequently asked questions that you get. And I've seen this shared on your social media quite often. So I know that you guys are getting this question, but a lot of people may ask, why are my taxes higher than my neighbors? Especially if you have a similar style home. So I'm going to let you walk through this real quick.
Okay. So we get this a lot. People look at the website and they start comparing their property to their neighbors or to somebody else. And if they're looking at the website, they're going to be totally confused. Because of the exemptions, when you get homestead exemption, you are capped from that point on at either CPI or 3%, whichever is less. And it can't go any higher than that unless you make changes. If you like remodel or something, then of course that portion would be, or you add an addition, that would be assessed at full market value. But say, like this example, both homes purchased in 2024, they're very identical in a subdivision. Just market value is the same, but the one on the left had portability, which portability is if you transfer one homestead savings to another. That's what they brought over with them from their previous homestead. So they get that $60,500 off. And then they also had the senior exemption that the other buyer did not have. So you can see that makes a huge difference. And that's the case. No two properties, even identical properties, are not going to be taxed the same way unless you buy them on the very same day and you have all the same, exemptions. It's just, it never happens.
Mm-hmm.
No
There's a lot of variables that go into it. So it's more than what meets the eye.
Yes. So when people look at that and they think that we're not assessing fairly, that came up during my campaign. And it was all based on this because they're looking at the website and they're urging everybody else to look at the website and, saying that we're not assessing fairly. And it's just not true. Everybody we're fair and equitable with everyone, but you're not going to be the same. It's not possible the way Florida's property tax system is set up. That is our most common question.
I figured it would be just because I have seen that graphic shared several times. So I thought I have a feeling they get this question quite a bit. Let's see. There was another, I'm looking for my graphics here. So the 6 factors that increase property taxes, I'll let you go through some of these real quick and talk about, why your taxes may be increased.
Yeah. So these are the main one. The number one is the tax rate. And we don't set the tax rate. That's set by the County Commission, School Board, City of Blountstown, and the Northwest Florida Water Management. They meet every year. When you get your proposed tax notice in August, it usually comes out about mid-August. At the top, it's going to have the proposed tax rates and their public hearings that the public is invited to attend when they determine, because they'll have to vote on this. So I urge the public, if you're interested in, learning and asking questions about the tax rate, go to those public hearings. Number two is ownership change. Anytime there's an ownership change, we are required by state law to remove that homestead cap and reset to market value. And market value is whatever the market is doing at the time. So every year we have to analyze all the sales, and that's what we're supposed to follow when we determine if we're going to, move up or down. Number three is improvements, new construction. So if you add a pole barn or a swimming pool or a shed or anything to your property, that's going to be assessed at market value, and it's going to be in addition to what's already there. A mobile home, pool barn, we said all that, yeah. And then number four is exemption changes. If let's say that you move out of your house, you keep it, you're going to go live somewhere else. Well, if you're not living there, then that homestead exemption comes off, or you change what you're doing with your agricultural property. So anything like that can affect the taxable value. A change in use, which removing a classification like agriculture. The recapture rule is, a lot of people don't realize, they think their taxes are, once they get homestead, they're never going to increase. But the recapture rule requires us to raise the value by 3% or CPI every year. So if you're not at full market value, it's going to increase a little bit every year, just depending on, what. And on non-homestead properties, the cap is 10%. So if you have a non-homestead property, it's going up, up to 10% every year, depending on the market.
So there's a lot of variables to your office, is what I'm hearing. Your tax increase may go up or down depending on a multitude of factors, and you cannot look at your neighbor's home and compare your tax rate or anything else, because there's so many things behind the scenes, so many state laws and requirements and things that people may not be aware of that you guys have to abide by that can alter that exemption status or tax rate or any of those things. I think I had another graphic here. Let's see.
Yeah, we just
covered this. The recapture rule here, and then this one about buyer beware. I wanted to go over this real quick.
Okay, so when people are searching for property and they're looking on Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin and all these sites, and they look at the tax, the property tax, that is the property tax of the seller, which is going to be very different because, like I said, once they have that ownership change, we're required to reset to market value. So a lot of times, if that person has owned that house for 20 or 30 years, their cap is so low, and then we reset, people are shocked at what their tax bill is that next year. So there is legislation now to try to get this, that these listing sites to not put a disclaimer or to call the property appraiser and ask, so they're not so shocked when they get that tax bill, because they don't realize that it's going to change that much.
Yeah, and I feel like that would probably lead you guys to get a lot of the backlash from things that you don't have any control over. Yeah, just because of the misinformation on the front end. And a lot of people too, I mean, when we recently purchased a home, we're looking at Zillow and all those different sites and things, and you kind of take that for what it is, and you don't realize, I had no idea that everything's going to reset and you're going to have to go again. So that's definitely valuable information. For those of you watching this, do not go by every little thing that's online, because they definitely need to reach out to you guys. And
I urge anyone that's buying or selling, to please call us. We'd be happy to share information with you. Anytime you have a question, whether it be about your assessment, we're always here. Give us a call. You can come in and we'll sit down and go over everything with you. We are open and have, we want everyone to understand, because it's a lot to deal with.
You guys do have social media as well. So your Facebook page, I have it on the screen right now, is facebook.com/Calhoun PA. So you can find a direct link to that. And then you guys also have a website where it's full of a ton of information. Let's see here. I'm going to try to connect to your website. Let's see. Make no promises for those of you watching if this is going to work. I'm new to this. So I'm going to give it a shot here, and let's see if we can't find all right, let's see here. All right. Can those of you who are watching at home, someone that's in the live, can y'all tell me if you see the Property Appraiser's website on screen right now? If we'll let somebody comment over here. Anybody that's watching, can you just put in the comments yes or no that you are seeing the Property Appraiser's website on screen? All right, I see here we go. Just see the address. What about here? I'm having to toggle back and forth here. Oh, goodness. Bear with me, guys. They're telling me no, they don't see it. You guys should be able to see this on screen. Anybody? Nope. All right. Well, we tried. Obviously, my tech skills are not up to par on that. So it didn't work last time either. So we'll give that a shot. I'll do some more research on that. But you can head over to the website, which is calhounpa.net. It's up on screen right now, and there's a ton of information on there. Is there something that you guys always get asked that you tend to have to direct people to your website quite often?
A lot of times it's just how to search for a property. And if you are on the main page, there is a button over to the left, a link that says property search. If you click on that, it'll bring it up and you can search by owner name, by parcel number, by address. There's several different ways to search. But anytime anyone has any questions, they'll give us a call. We'll walk them through it.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to share about your office? What is something you want the public or the citizens of Calhoun County to know about you guys and what's going on in the property appraiser's office right now?
I want everyone to know that we work hard and customer service is number one with us. And we welcome you to call, come in, email, however you want to contact us. We're here for you. And we're here to help you and answer your questions and help you get all the exemptions that you qualify for. And just be here for Calhoun County because that's who we work for. We work for you.
Well, and I know that he thought he was going to get away from here without having to talk on this camera. But Clay Riddle, I want you to tell us, what's your role as Chief Deputy Appraiser? What are some of the things that you have to do in the office to help out?
So I do a little bit of everything. I try to assist the property appraiser in some of the decisions, some of the sales data that we submit to Department of Revenue. The biggest bulk of what I do is I handle the tax roll process. I actually am the one who actually submits that to Department of Revenue. I have a lot of edits and a lot of reports and stuff that I have to dig through and try to make sure it's as clean of a roll as possible for the county. So,
and that's a big job.
I think I've been doing the tax roll since Miss Carla's been here in I think I started in 2017 was when my first year doing the tax roll. And it was very frightening at first, but we had a lot of good help. And, Miss Carla was real great at, helping us get through the process. And, we worked hard to get to the role that we have right now. It's a really good tax roll. So.
Well, how long have you been working in the property appraiser's office? Because I know you've been there for a while as well.
March 15th of 2012. So I'm coming up on my 13-year reunion on the 15th. All right. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. That's awesome that you've been in that position, or you've did multiple positions in the office, I believe, but you've been in that office for quite a while now. So thanks for sticking in there and taking care of the citizens of Calhoun County in the property appraiser's office. And you as well, Ms. Carla, thank you so much for everything you do to help the citizens of Calhoun County. And if you guys have any questions, head over to their website or their social media pages and check them out. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye to y'all because I'm going to bring on Miss Cissy Barfield, the clerk of court. So thanks, guys, for being here.
Bye. Thank you, Jamie.
All right, guys. And we're moving right along. We got Miss Cissy Barfield. How are you?
Hey, Jamie. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for being here. So tell me a little bit about the clerk of court and what is your role in the local government and how you work together with the county commission and all that good stuff for those that may not be aware of what the clerk of court does.
Yeah, so the clerk of court is a very complex role. I will say that it's there's a lot of hats that are worn with the clerk. And as clerk, I would say, I used to say 3 hats, or like 3 different jobs in one, but it's really like 4. So I would say the clerk of court, comptroller, the recorder, and then your clerk to board. But as a clerk of court, I'm responsible, and when I say we have a team, and without the team, I couldn't do it. But we're responsible for facilitating the jury process, maintaining all court records, so both criminal and civil, maintaining court finances, court appearances, so in charge of all the dockets and notice to appears, keep the judges and the court staffs straight with all of that. Child support payments, we offer online and in office all kinds of online payment options. In charge of domestic violence injunctions. And I will say this, with domestic violence injunctions, so we deal with that, but also your city deals with that and your sheriff's office. And we have 2 great victims advocates there that we all work well together. So I did want to throw that out there. It's really good with your relationships and communication with the fellow offices. And I deal with Baker Acts, or we deal with Baker Acts, Marchman Acts, and maintaining court evidence. And that's just a little bit on the clerk of court side. And then obviously comptroller, which is huge. So reviewing county budgets, managing payroll for all county employees, processing accounts payable. And then we oversee county assets. Am I freezing up? Or am I doing good?
You're good. You're good.
Didn't know how the internet connection was going. So maintain financial records for the county commissioners. And then as a recorder, just a few things. So a lot of recording of land deeds or mortgage documents, people that have liens on properties, contracts. We provide property alerts, and that was something we were going to talk about in a few minutes, so I won't touch on that right this second.
So if you guys are not picking up on this,
and then
if you guys are not noticing, there's a lot. If the viewers are not noticing, there is a lot that goes into being clerk of court. As she's rattling off all the different things and the jobs, this takes a huge team. This takes a ton of people and time. So I don't know. I don't envy you at all. That is a very difficult job, and you have a lot on your hands. I'm sure. But I wanted to touch on something before I forget that you mentioned about working together. It seems to me like when you have a job that's this involved with this many different departments, you obviously do have to have good relationships with those that you have to work with. And there's always so many moving parts. As you're the newest clerk of court and you were just elected in November, how has it been transitioning into this role and getting to know the different personalities and working with all the different departments that you have to work with?
Okay, so I'm going to try to answer your question because I'm only getting bits and pieces of what you're saying. So what I will say this, as a whole, even just with our office, I will say this, looking at, and I know you're talking about all the different constitutional offices, but just in our office, a complete respect for every position in this office and all the roles and how it all works. You wouldn't understand unless you were sitting in here, but I have like a complete respect for every single person that's in this office. But then to have good working relationships, just today, all of the constitutional officers met for lunch and we're bouncing off ideas. And it was just it's really good for Calhoun County that we're all able to meet together, work together, and then help each other out and not realize where someone may have a question or struggle, and this one can provide guidance or help or training. So it's pretty awesome to have good working relationships all the way around.
No, that's really good. And I know if you're watching, you probably noticed there may be a little bit of a delay on our end here. Cissy is in the courthouse in Calhoun County, so the internet connection may be a little difficult there. So y'all just bear with us. There is a little bit of a lag there. But Cissy, I want to move on to property fraud alerts. That was something when I asked you, what would you like to talk about? You listed property fraud alerts. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So on property fraud alerts, this is super simple. So everybody that is on the chat, that if you're commenting, go on the website and go to property fraud alerts. It's not complex. You put your first name in, last name, your email address. If anybody tries to do anything with your property, your deed, anything like that, because it's huge in fraud right now, you're going to get an alert. And that way you can get law enforcement on it faster than if you were to find out after the fact. If somebody files anything that's remotely close to your name, first or last, you're going to get an alert within 24 hours.
And you said that can be found on your website, right? CalhounClerk.com.
Yes, CalhounClerk.com. And I also have videos on there if you'll, when you get a chance to kind of check that out. There is a video on the property fraud alerts, and it's also on my YouTube as well. I think the videos are less than 2 minutes, something like that. So they're good information, a lot of information being pushed out there.
Awesome. So website, CalhounClerk.com. And then you guys have the YouTube channel as well, which is youtube.com/@ Calhoun County Clerk of Court. So maybe some videos will be shared there as well as on the website, so you guys can stay up to date. Moving right along, foreclosure and tax deed sales are going to return to in-person. Tell us about that.
Yes. So property foreclosure sales and tax deeds. So through the politicking for a year, the biggest complaint and request that I had in the community was that please bring them back in person. Over and over and over. You would think that would have been a different suggestion or request. And one thing that I got to thinking about and just researching, and I'm trying to respecting both lines of online and the amazingness of being able to get on the internet and just, do your thing, but also the fact that we're missing the in-person and the connection in person. But the biggest thing is I serve Calhoun County, right? So if I felt super strong that I needed to bring that back in person. And I will say that if somebody has a piece of property that's coming up for sale beside them, I want them to have a chance to get that versus fighting with somebody online out of state, honestly, or down south. I want the people in Calhoun County to have a good chance at that. So I did bring that back in person, and there are opinions on both sides of that, but for the most part, everybody is positive about it.
Is there a certain time that those sales are, obviously it depends on what is being foreclosed on, but are there certain times of the year that you have those in-person sales, like every quarter, every 6 months, or is it just as needed basis?
Yeah, it's just kind of random. So it just depends on like the court case or like when the foreclosure falls in or the tax deed. So we just did a tax deed sale last week, and we have a foreclosure coming up, I believe, on the 27th. We may have 2 foreclosures coming up on the 27th. And then we also have another tax deed coming up in a couple weeks. I know the foreclosures are already on our website. I'm not sure if we've uploaded the latest tax deed, but we will be getting that up in the next couple of days. And
that was my next question
about our new website is we're able to go in and make those changes.
that was my next question, was where can people go to find out about the sales happening, or the foreclosures that are happening? So obviously your website, there's a section there. Do you publicize that like in the papers or on social media as well? Or is it strictly just look on the
Yeah,
website?
we also put it in the county record.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we also put it in the county record for a couple weeks, and then also the website under property sales, and I think it takes you to foreclosure and tax deeds. And I will say this too, if you go there, you'll see the clerk, the deputy clerk that deals with that. So one deals with the tax deed and one deals with the foreclosures. And if you have a question, their email is listed right there. So you can see what deputy clerk you're dealing with, shoot them an email, and they'll respond back to you.
Awesome. So now in your new role, as you've come in and things are transitioning over the past few months, what is something that maybe you've noticed that people have the most questions about? Is there one particular thing or two or three short things that people tend to ask about the most, or you feel like is a misconception in the public?
Well, the biggest thing has been the tax deed sale. That's been the biggest question, and a lot of questions. But I will tell you, there's so much that happens between court side and finance side, between county commissioners, finance, and then court, that it's hard to know exactly who's asking what all the time. But I would say we get a lot of questions on the tax deed, but we service a lot of people, child support a lot, criminal traffic tickets. We're getting a lot of traffic tickets on 20. The deputies are doing their job. And so, yes, we have I don't know, it's well-rounded, Jamie. I couldn't say exactly what the biggest, the biggest question is.
Well, there are so many. I go back to the beginning when you were listing all the things that you guys have to do. There's so many moving parts that there's probably, a multitude of questions in each one. And so it's good that you guys are on top of it and that you have cohesion. I'm going back to Melissa's comment. It's so good to hear that there's cohesion between you and the other, constitutional officers, and that you guys can work together, and even just within the departments in your office, that you guys can work together and find solutions. And that you're putting things online. I think that's a big thing that I've always heard, just in talking to folks about what would you like to see in Calhoun County more. And it is that those offices be utilizing social media and websites more to direct people for the information. So I think that's a really good thing that you guys have moved in that direction with getting a social media, some social media pages going. Last but not least, and we'll let you go here.
Oh, yeah.
What's the one thing that you want citizens to know about your office or your role, like coming into this, about you as Cissy Barfield, your Calhoun clerk? What is something you would like people to know that they can count on when it comes to you serving the citizens?
Okay, I heard half of that maybe, and I'm laughing because I'm not exactly sure what you asked, but what was it?
I'm gonna put it in the chat so you guys can see it. Okay, yep. I got you. Give me just a second.
Yeah.
I'm typing as fast as I can, guys. All right. There we go.
Okay, so one thing that I want the citizens to know, well, at first, I'm just very thankful that they're showing us a lot of grace in this transition. Everybody's been really good to us. But just know that I'm going to work hard. Our whole group, our whole team is going to work hard. We're here to serve Calhoun County. And I will say, too, that sometimes we may not be able to do exactly what a customer is wanting. It may be outside of our realm, but we're going to do our best to guide and direct them, serve them, and find them the help that they need. And we are actually having a blast. That's what I will say. So we hit the ground running January 1st, and what are we, March 10th now? And it's a good busy. We're really busy, very busy, but it's a really good busy. So, and I'm learning something new every day, and I love it.
That is awesome. Well, before we jump off of here, I know that we still have a few people watching. So guys, if there's any questions that you have for Cissy, jump on here, throw those questions in the chat. We'll post those on screen and let her answer them. So if there's anything in that whole realm of jobs that the clerk's office has to take care of that you want a question or you want an answer to, throw it in the chat real quick. We'll hang out here for just a second. And then we will be done with this month's CalCo community chat. So I'm so thankful that all of you guys are watching. We hope to continue these over the next few months. They're starting to grow. We're starting to get more viewers. And we just want to do this so you guys can communicate and engage more with your community leaders, your government officials, and just kind of learn what these offices are about and how you can get the help that you need. I do see a question, so I'm going to jump in here. Amanda, do you take care of evictions?
Yes. So, yes, Amanda, we do take care of evictions here. And evictions would be Robbie Bennett. She's our deputy clerk that handles that, and she's been doing that for years and does an amazing job at it. So if you have any questions regarding that, then reach out to her or me after this, and I will be glad to help you.
All right, let's see. Anybody else? Miss Sharon says, great job. Hey, Miss Sharon, we got to get you on here next month.
I do want to throw out, yeah, we're going to put Sharon on here next time. So I do want to throw out too that we have worked so hard getting this website up, and we are super proud of it. So if you guys haven't, I like the laptop, the regular computer version of it versus our mobile, but it is so informational. And the clerk's office does there's so many hats that we wear. And I would just ask you to go out there and kind of see everything, see the YouTube, which I do only think we have 1 or 2 videos out on YouTube, but we do have a YouTube. So we are advancing a little bit. And then we try really hard to push information on our clerk Facebook as well.
Now, I do have a question about the YouTube. I'm not sure. Again, I know we have a little lag here between me and you, but will eventually county commission meetings be broadcast live on YouTube or shared after the fact on YouTube?
Okay, that I don't know, but I will check into that and I will get back with you guys on that because I'm not sure yet, but I do know that is an interest. People do have that interest. So, but it's something that I can't, say, oh, for sure that's going to happen. But I will address it with the board.
It's definitely difficult to attend all the meetings. And I think that's where the interest comes from, is that there's so many, everyone's so busy these days. So it is hard to attend all the meetings or be there in person, but sometimes it is helpful to be able to jump on a live and just listen like we're doing right now, even to learn a little bit more about what's happening in your community. So that would be an awesome addition, I think. But I think that's it. I don't think we have any other questions tonight. So thank you so much, Cissy, for being here. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to you, and I'll stick around for just a second to close us out here on this episode of CalCo Community Chats. All right, guys. Thank you again for being here on our March edition of CalCo Community Chats. We'll be back in April for another round. We're going to be talking to some more constitutional officers and folks throughout the county. We're going to have hopefully some local organizations on, so you guys can learn a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes in Calhoun County. If you have questions about anything, throw them in the chat. When I say chat, I mean the comments. Over the next week, some of these people will be on here answering questions, so they'll be checking it. Even after the live has ended, you guys can still engage and communicate. So thanks again. We appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you in April on the next CalCo Community Chat.